So I'm using Adobe After Effects 2021, but you can use any version of After Effects. Even free trial version works fine. First of all, let's see what we have. Here we can change our layout. So basically, if I'm gonna press on standard, you can see that we have some different kind of layout. I'm gonna set my to standard, and in case if you wouldn't see some of these panels, you can always enable it from here from window. For example, character, as you can see, checkbox, it's set, so we have character panel. You can even close some panels with the right click and close panel, or add a new panel. For example, you can go to window, enable brushes, and you can see our brushes. Let's close it for now. So in this way, if you cannot see some of the panels which you can see on my screen, you can always go to window and enable it from here. We can create our first new composition. We can create by clicking here or by clicking on this icon right here. Either way works fine. So let's click it here. I'll set my resolution to Full HD, 1920, and height 1080. Here we can set our frame rate. We are going to use 30 frames per second. And here we can change the duration. So basically how long this composition will go. Our animation will be up to 15 seconds. So I'm gonna set here 15 seconds. Here is milliseconds, here is seconds, here's minutes, and here's hours. Here you can change the background color. Default is black, so it's fine. And these advanced parts we are not going to cover in this class. You can check my Skillshare page for more advanced classes if you want. So let's click OK. Here, by the way, we can change the name. Let's call it animation and click OK. So now you can see that we've created our composition, which is animation. Here is our timeline. So you can see that it goes from 0 seconds to 15 seconds. And by clicking on this time cursor and scrubbing through timeline, we will be able to check our composition. Also, we can press 0 on numpad, which also will play back our animation, or go frame by clicking on these buttons in preview panel. Once again, if you cannot see preview panel, you can go to window and enable it from here, preview. So first thing which I want to do is to create a background. So we want to create a background because now if we will click on this alpha channel transparency grid, we can see that this grid represents that here is nothing is being created. So basically it's transparent and we want to have some color or solid for background. So to create a background, we can use a shape layer or a simple solid. In our case, we only will use shape layers. So let me quickly show you the difference between shape layers and solids. So for example, we can go to layer new solid. Let's click here on make comp size. So it will be same as the size of our composition. And we can change the colors to white, for example, and click OK. So I'm gonna use this pen tool to draw some shape like this. And if I'm gonna press S on keyboard, by the way, don't worry if I'm going too fast. I just want to explain what is different between solid and shape layers. I bring up the scale by pressing S on keyboard and change it from 100% to, for example, 600. And with this selection tool, I can move around and deselect. You can see that we don't have this crispy edge because solids works like this. You cannot go past 100% because it will lose quality. This is why we are going to use shape layers. So let's try to create a shape layer. I'm gonna delete this solid and we will create a random shape using pen tool. So to create shape layer, you need to make sure that you didn't select any of your layers. Because if you will have some layers here and you will select some of them, you will not create a shape layer, you will create a mask on that layer which you have. Exactly as I did with this solid which I had here. So to recap this moment, if I'm gonna select the solid and create using this pen tool a shape, it will create a mask on top of this solid. Let me press Ctrl Z a bunch of times to undo this moment. And if I'm gonna deselect any of these layers which you might have here and start creating, you can see that we created our shape layer. So let's delete this solid. And let's see what is cool about shape layers. Select this shape layer, press S on keyboard to see scale. And now if I'm gonna increase my scale, as you can see, I went well above 100. And if I'm gonna move it with the selection tool, you can see that edge still stays perfectly sharp. And this is what is cool about shape layers. This is why in our animation we are going to use shape layers. So let me delete this shape layer and solids because we don't need them. In the next class we are going to create our background and the shape which we are going to animate. See you in the next video.